I have this lovely round tray that I've recently used to put some flowers in, but I also like to use it with Aqua Cast, and I really want to change up the look. I like those etched or debossed moulds that you can find, but my craft room is far too small to have so many different moulds, and I don't have the budget for it either. So I want to change this mould into multiple different designs, and I've done that before by sticking some vinyl to the surface to get the etched look, but that's such a pain. Vinyl doesn't really like to stick to the surface, it's silicone. So I think I've got a workaround for that. I'm going to measure across the centre of my tray just to get the diameter of the flat interior, and that's 148 millimeters or 14.8 centimeters. So that's the size I want to cut a circle of acetate. I'm going to be using a document cover. I'll put the link to the ones that I use in the description box below. I'm going to attach some vinyl to that, and the document cover should stick to the surface of a really nice clean mould. Means that I'll be able to make multiple different designs and I'll be able to reuse them. So I need to design my image, and I'm going to go over to my computer to do that. So let's go. Before I design it, I need to stick two pieces of vinyl together. I'm using Oracle 651. I'm going to peel away some of the backing, and then I can remove that just to expose some of the sticky. And now I can line up my two pieces along the bottom, try and fold it a little bit like a taco, and stick the top piece down. Now I'll take my ruler, I'll put that flat against the edge, and I'll slide that down, scraping and pressing as I go. This way you avoid getting any bubbles, and that's quite important. You don't really want too many. I've got some bubbles at the top there, so I'm going to turn that to the bottom because my design will cut at the top. I'm in Design Space, and I've already got a design from the library, and I'm bringing on a circle. I'm going to go up to Operations and change that to a guide. I'll change the size to 14.8, and now I need to make sure that my design is at the front, so I'll go to Arrange, Bring to the Front, and I can resize it so that it fits in the centre of my guide. The wreath is made of multiple layers, which I don't need, so I'm going to ungroup it, and then I'll click on my canvas to deselect everything. The top layer are the dots, and I do want to keep those, so I'm going to turn the visibility off. I will select the other three layers, and I want to make those one piece. So I'm going to go down to Combine, and then I can choose Weld. Now I have one piece, and that's risen to the top of the layers palette. I'm going to go back and turn on the visibility of the dots, and I want to bring that up to the front. And now I will select both of those pieces, and I'm going to slice out the dots. I can remove the top two slice result layers just by deleting them, and now I have my vinyl that I want to cut with the holes in the middle. I'm going to add some words to this. I want to put those in the center. I'm going to choose text, and then I can move that into position. I'll double click on it and type what I want to say. I've chosen the font that I want to use, and then I can resize this and position it at the top. Once I know that I'm happy with that, I'm going to duplicate this. I'll double click, and then I can change it to the text that I want to do. And I'll repeat this until I have all the text that I need. Once I've arranged it and I like the way it looks, I'm going to select all of my text layers, and then I will group them. Then I need to flip them. It's really important that you do this, otherwise your text isn't going to make any sense once it's embossed. Now I'm going to select my wreath, and I will attach both layers. It changes the colour of your text. The circle I am now going to change from a guide to basic, and I like to turn mine blue. That way I know I'm cutting it out of acetate, but you can leave it whatever colour you like. So then you choose Make, and the first thing you're going to cut is the vinyl. And instead of choosing vinyl, I choose medium cardstock, and I set the pressure to less. Now you might need to test your machine. Try running it at medium cardstock, and because it's going to depend on what vinyl you're using and your machine. And the other one I'm just going to cut out of acetate. I'll leave it on default. And then it's just a case of weeding it, a process you either love or hate. And I do have a love-hate relationship with it. I just took my time. It had cut through fine, so it was pretty easy to do. And that word down in the corner, I just did that as a test. I lost the dots of the eyes, so I took the ones from the centre of the flowers to replace them. And then I just had to take out the middles of the letters. I used some transfer tape to pick up my pieces. I'm scraping it on the front and the back. I have the acetate piece that we've already cut and I wiped it clean. So I just need to take the backing paper off. I think my transfer tape is a little bit old and I found this to be a problem in my next step. I like to use parchment paper to transfer stuff over without actually sticking. It allows me to line it up without committing. And this meant my transfer tape wasn't as sticky as it should be, and it kept leaving some of my pieces behind and allowed them to drop off. It wasn't a problem, it just meant that I had a little bit more work to rearrange them once I had this stuck down, but it was all doable. So just picking up the pieces that had lost their place and rearranging them. Now I'm using a piece of clear packing tape just to go over the surface. Make sure that there's no dust on there or any bits of stray resin. And once I've got that nice and clean, I can start to try and centre my piece of acetate. And I think you can see as I'm setting it down and pulling it off, it is sticking really well to the surface. So I'll just try and line it up. And once I'm happy with the placement, I'm going to run my fingers around the edge and push down. I want to concentrate on and make sure that the edge is completely sealed. And if I flip it upside down, it doesn't come off. So now I'm going to mix my Aqua Cast. I've mixed up the amount that I had written on the other side of my mould, and I'm going to be using Aqua Cast Turbo. So this will only take 15 minutes roughly to be ready to demould, but it also means that you don't have a terribly long working time. So I've mixed it up and I'm going to try and pour into the edges. You can see it's already starting to get a little bit gloopy. It's a weird kind of stuff. It feels very thick, and yet when you shake it, it becomes quite fluid and it moves into the positions that you want. So I'm filling up the edge and tapping that, and now I'm going to take, well, let me get a clean micro brush stick and I can use that to go around the edges and try and dislodge any bubbles that might be there. Make sure that all the Aqua Cast does get down into those corners. Once I've done that, I'm going to get another couple of taps and then I can fill up the rest of it. And I'm sure you can see it really does look like it's starting to get thick. So tap, tap, tap and dislodge the bubbles and settle it. And then I'll scrape out the rest. And this is what I mean when I say it's kind of lumpy and fluid at the same time. You can see that there's quite a mound of Aqua Cast as I'm putting this into the middle, and yet as soon as I start shaking it, it will level out and be completely flat. This is very full, but I'm going to leave it now for 15 minutes and then I'll be ready to demold it and we'll see what happens. Okay, 15 minutes later and I'm ready to demold. I just need to lift off the acetate and you can see you get a really fantastic impression. I need to leave this to dry for 24 hours before I can decorate it. Okay, so it's been a little longer than 24 hours. This is completely dry and I'm going to give this a coat of acrylic varnish. I want to seal the Aqua Cast before I paint it. Then if I make any mistakes when I'm trying to infill the debossed areas, I'll be able to wipe it away and it won't stain or mark the rest of the plate. So I'm just going to give it a light layer, maybe a couple of layers, and I can feel my plate rocking a little bit, so I must have a dome on the back. I can sand that flat, but I think I'm going to be using this as a wall hanging, so it won't matter so much. I'll put a fixing on the back and then it can be hung on the wall. I'm going to give it a couple of coats and I'll let it dry in between each coat. Then I can come back and put the colour in the debossed areas. Okay, now I'm ready to paint this. It's been varnished. I've mixed some of this marble metallic powder. It's a goldish metallic powder. And I've mixed that with some acrylic varnish. And I end up with this. Let me zoom in a bit here. And now I'm going to use that just to fill in these words. So I need to try and be careful. I'm using a micro brush stick. I'm going to help guide the paint around the channels. And if it goes pear-shaped, I should be able to wipe it off. That was the whole point of varnishing it before I started. I'm just going to try and be really careful and fill in these areas as I go. Not something I'm going to make you watch in real time. I will speed it up a little bit and you can watch me do a little bit, but just know that's what I'm going to be doing for all of it. Using various different colours, probably a mica, and I will mix it with the acrylic varnish so that it fills in the gaps. Okay, this is all completely dried now, and I am going to go around the edges. I've got the sort of coppery chrome marker because I think that's going to match a little bit better with the filled words, and I'm just going to run it around the edges. So I'll try and take it around the outside edge. Oop. Trying not to get my fingers on it at the same time. I think I've smudged it a little bit. Good thing about putting varnish on is that you can correct some of your mistakes. Right, so I'm gonna run that around the inside as well. So oh, did not want to do that. Just take that off, that's fine. Okay, I'm going to leave that now and let that completely dry, and then I'm going to leave it overnight because it's quite late now, and I'll be back. I'll put a couple of coats of varnish. I want this to have a really high gloss and to seal everything in. This is not going to come off. It is, the mica is already mixed with varnish, so that is sealed, but I just want to make sure that it has this nice glossy ceramic look. So see you in the morning and I'll varnish this. I gave it 4 thin coats of acrylic varnish using a sponge to apply it. I'm so pleased with this effect, and I'll be able to create multiple inserts that will be able to fit in the same bag as my mould. It's going to free up space and money and give me something that's far more personalised. If you've liked this video, please give me a thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't, and please comment. It helps my channel immensely. Thank you so much for watching. Come back and see what I'm going to be making next time. Bye.